Marriage Boot Camp, Season 18, Episode 3, starts off with everybody waking up like they normally do. Treasure's in her confessional letting us know that she is glad she threw up the day before because she had to get all those toxins out of her system, and that today she's going to stay sober because Judge Lynn Toller asked her to. Moni and Amber are at the table, and Moni is telling Amber that she's hoping that she and Tough can come to a place of understanding in their issues and working them out, because yesterday she realized, I guess for the first time, she's just realizing that he resents her for not going to bat for him as an artist. And he feels like, 10 years have passed. And Amber's like, wait, what did you do to stop his career? And Moni was like, I just stopped helping him. And she explains that he expects her to still help him even after he cheated or while he was cheating. And Moni was like, that's pretty much what he blames her for. He feels like she should have still been helping him even though they were going through something in their relationship. And I just feel like, Tough, that's not how it works. You need to know that if you couldn't make it without her, then you probably weren't built for this industry anyway. And you need to take accountability for your actions. Y'all were building an empire together, and you pretty much poured gasoline on it and blew it up. You lit the match. The judge comes to get Treasure before she can even get a chance to eat breakfast, because she already knew if you leave her out there too long, it's going down. So Treasure sits down with the judge, and the judge pretty much asks her about the drinking. And she tells her that it's pretty much because she's shy. She says in her confessional that the strip club and reality TV made her that way. The judge tells her that she has a lot of good qualities and that drinking could take that away from her, drinking the way she does. And she asks her to cut back. Treasure agrees to cut back. Well, at least she says she'd do the best she can. That's all we can ask for, Treasure. Now everybody is at the table, and Nori asked Treasure about her meeting with the judge. He was like, did you having a smoothie? Did the judge change you, girl? Everybody laughed, and Treasure was like, she didn't say anything that I haven't heard before from like my mom. And she tells us that her and her dad are both drinkers, but she knows that she overindulges. And for people who overindulge in drinking, it's better for them to not have anything to drink at all, because there's no in between with them. It's either they're drinking full force or they're not drinking at all. That's just, my thought. Nori and Miles both agree that Treasure seems like a totally different person today. So the TV screen in the dining area comes on, and it tells them to find their clipboard and privately write something that they wish the public knew about them, but they're afraid to show. They are to seal it in an envelope and don't share it with anyone, and put it in a box. So Miles was like, he don't really have nothing to share at this point because everybody know all his business. You put it out there. Anyway, so now they head outside, and there are these cardboard cutouts of them. Nice pictures, by the way. Dr. Ish explains to them that they have to tag their fellow boot campers with the words on the stickers that they're given. So the stickers say stuff like interrupter, fake, uninspired, high maintenance, diva, reckless, judgmental, trashy, narcissistic, confrontational. And that's just the name of a few. They get to the word thirsty, and nobody wants to stick it on anybody else. Now, they had no problem putting trashy on Amber, fake on Miles, but nobody wants to put thirsty. So Moni goes out there and she put it on Treasure, so people follow in her footsteps. But Molly Mall puts it on Miles. When they're done, I think somebody put one on Amber too. But anyway, when they're done, Dr. Ish explains that these are all words that are found online used to describe them. And this is, pretty much the world's perception of them. So now Amber is mad and saying she now sees how everybody feel about her, and her and Miles are in the room. They just talking like little high school kids, how they're not going to be nice to the other people. They don't want them being nice to them, going on and on. And I'm just like, girl, it's an exercise. Like, they had to put the stuff on somebody. Like, who would you prefer they had put it on? Anyway, so in the lounge, you got Tough and Molly Mall playing pool, and then Treasure's on the couch. I guess she's just watching or listening to their conversation. And I don't know if we came in in the middle of a conversation that we're having, but the way it starts is Tough is like, he's saying something along the lines of, what you do is what you do. If you're at my house, party, have fun or whatever. Then he says, that's how Brock was talking about, no, what did he say? He said, and that's when Brock was talking about how he was being at your house or something, and how you throw parties. I don't know. It seemed like the middle of the conversation when we came in right there. He said, he was basically telling Molly Mall that Brock has been talking about being at his house and the parties that he throws. So Molly was like, I didn't know him when I seen him. He came with other people. I didn't even know who he was. He was like, in his confessional, he was like, I don't remember him too much. I just remember him coming over. I never invited him over. I don't even know him like that. And Miles is putting extras on it. And in my mind, I'm like, why are you trying to drill in our heads that you didn't know him or invite him? Like, we get it. We got it. That happens at parties all the time. That's not irregular. So then he goes on to say, he was a cool dude. I had nothing against him. And I'm like, are you sure? Because, it's okay if you do know him. If you did invite him, it's fine. So he said he thought Miles was mentioning this, for the look, because he's saying he was partying with the cheetahs, blah, blah, blah. So Treasure was like, yeah, he was definitely pumping you up for sure. And Molly was like, it's cool, he's cool, but I don't know him like that. Amber and Miles are still going on and on as they head down to the lounge. Before Amber could even get comfortable in her seat when she gets to the lounge, she's like, so y'all don't like me? What did I do to everybody? And everybody looking at her like, okay. So Miles is like, y'all true feelings came out. I thought we was all friends. First of all, you don't know these people like that. They don't know you. You don't know them. You did not think y'all were friends. Second of all, it was just an exercise. So Molly basically tries to explain it. He's like, everybody had a sticker of them, and it didn't really bother anybody else. And somebody, I don't know who it was, somebody was like, well, what about when they put the word diva on you? And Molly was like, yeah, because I was like, I ain't no girl. And then Miles comes out of nowhere and says, and I quote, are y'all acknowledging the paint, the fingernails, and the way that he dresses from head to toe, and how pretty he gets and prissy? He more prissier than me. I'm like, okay, prissier, I got you. And for me, there was a lot to unpack there. First and very foremost, this man is wearing a sleeveless velour suit and some prison slides. Nothing prissy about it. Second, if being bisexual or gay or feminine or whatever is who you are, why are you trying to use that to insult someone else? That makes no sense. And third, you stayed in the closet until you was ready to come out. So why are you trying to force that on the next person? I'm not saying the man is in the closet. I'm just saying if he was, why are you trying to be the one to put that narrative out there? Molly says that Miles is emotional and sensitive, and that's a bisexual trait. Lord, help me. Treasure was looking at him like even Treasure could see like that was wrong. She was like, why you feel like that? She didn't check him, but she said, why do you feel like that? And he was like, because when you're bisexual, you have male and female tendencies. Okay. She says he is sensitive because he wants respect. So Molly tells Miles that he feels like because Miles has been judged before, he now thinks that everybody is judging him. Miles says, if I'm insecure, it's because y'all make me feel this way. He then brings up that Molly made the joke about the balls in the last episode. They played the clip, and he's like, my sexuality shouldn't be a joke, especially if I'm already insecure about it. They go back and forth. Molly says there's something about him being Molly said something about Miles being insecure, and he looked like he was offended. I'm like, you just said you were insecure. You just said the same thing. Anyway, Miles says he's not playing nice anymore. Whatever that means, we're scared. So Tough says to Miles, trying to comfort him in some way. He said, to real men, your sexuality doesn't matter. And they could have cut the scene there, but they didn't. Miles is in his confessional saying he has dealt with this for so long being in hip-hop. And I'm like, you're not really in hip-hop. You was on Love in hip-hop. That's not the same thing. Oh, Lord, it don't count. You in hip-hop just as much as Tough is. Anyway, he going on, and then at the end of the scene, he's walking out, and he's like, do we have some boxing gloves so we can box it out? You don't want to box nobody. Stop that. Dr. Ish calls everybody outside, and they have to basically get in the pool and get a bottle. It's like message in a bottle. And they have to read the message aloud. And it's the things that they wrote earlier on the little clipboards. So Nori's first. He gets in, and he gets his letter. And his letter says something about being standoffish but having a great personality. And he had to guess who said it. I forgot who he said, but it was actually Tough. I think he thought it was Treasure, but it was Tough. So Tough says that, or Tough gets in and get his bottle, and he says that he wants the public to know that I hate social media, but it's a necessary evil in my life, and I hate public displays of affection. And it's Treasure. And I'm like, girl, how? You are a public display of affection. And Moni was like, you are a walking, talking, crying public display of affection in her confessional. Treasure gets in, and Miles gets in, and he gets his letter, and it says, I wish the public knew that I was doing another reality show other than this one. And it's Neri. And Dr. Ish was like, why do you want the public to know that? She was like, because I want them to know I'm popping too. I got money coming in. He's not going to be the only one paying bills. I'm going to have money for bills too. I'm like, okay, girl, I see you. Treasure gets in, and her says, nothing. I live my life for what it is, and I manage myself and others, so I want to just be me. And it's Molly. Moni gets in, and hers basically says, I hate compliments, and it's Nori. And Dr. Ish says he used to be the same way. He didn't do well with compliments because deep down inside he didn't feel like he deserved them. Amber goes in, and hers pretty much says they suffer from depression. And Miles guessed that it was Amber, and it was her. She says she's the strongest person, and she doesn't tell people about her depression because she don't want them to look at her differently. I completely understand that. Molly says that I want the public to know that I was never sexually active with my partner and other people at the same time. And it was Miles. And Dr. Ish asked him why he wanted people to know that. He said because when he came out with his sexuality, people portrayed him as a down low person. But him and Amber weren't together when he had sex with the guy from the Love and Hip Hop show. Neri did hers, and it says, I was mentally and physically abused in another relationship. And it was Moni. And Moni said she had only shared that with Tough. And Dr. Ish was like, well, did he honor your pain or did he add to it? She said he added to it. In his confessional, Tough is like, knowing that he added to her pain didn't sit well with him. He said he knew, after she told him that he could protect her from that. But what he didn't realize is that he couldn't protect her from himself. And I thought that was so deep. Dr. Ish said something to Moni that really stuck out to me. He said, stop sharing your story with people who haven't earned the right to hear it. Anyway, so back inside, their little cardboard cutouts are in the living room, and Judge Tola comes out in all of her animation. She is so animated. I love her. She says what if you can see yourself through your partner's eyes? So Dr. Ish says, whose partner described them as impressive? Tough raised his hand, and they're like, no, honey, she didn't say that about you. That was Nora saying that about Neri. And they asked him why he said that. He was like, because I never thought she would leave me. She deal with me every day. He said, I'm a lot. He was like, I never thought she would leave me. And sometimes I want to leave myself. Neri says that Nori is loving. Moni says that Tough is strong. No, sweetheart or something. What was it? The sweetest man she ever knew because he pulled the cover up on her. That's what it was. Tough says that Moni is strong. She used what happened to her to increase her strength. Amber says that Miles is strong-minded. Okay. I disagree with that. I don't think he's strong-minded. I think that he's very weak-minded. And I say that because he can't even sit in his sexuality without projecting the inferiorness that he feels. I know that's not a word, but he can't sit in it without projecting that on the straight men around him. And I'm not saying that Molly don't have the homophobic tendencies, but anyway, he's strong-minded. Molly says that Treasure is a sweetheart, and he wants people to know that because she's not a homewrecker and all that stuff that is out there about her. Treasure says that Molly is giving. She said he gets paid, but he does a lot of the stuff that he does, for free. Then Nori was like, can I say something? He was like, this just started to make sense right now. He was just like, we got to trust the process because none of this made sense at the beginning. So, Amber is sitting over there looking like those little Photoshop glasses they put on people before they start singing that Snoop Dogg song when they be like that gangster with the little blunt or joint or whatever in their mouth. Anyway, I don't like them. So outside, Nori, Neri, and Molly Mall are discussing the process. Nori's telling Molly, giving him advice like, I think you can work with Treasure. He was like, yesterday I would have told you to give up, but today she just needs the help. You can work with her. So they're, just talking. And Miles comes outside and he's like, can I sit down? And they're like, what? You don't have to ask. Molly was like, you don't need permission to sit down. And that just told me that he feels awkward around straight men. Like he doesn't feel like he fits in. So Molly was like, Miles jokingly said to Molly, can I sit down? Can I sit right here? And Molly was like, stop playing victim. Because you full of ish. He said, before you judge a person, Molly said, before you judge a person, try to figure them out. And Miles was like, you don't know me like that, but you made the first gay joke. So why would you feel comfortable enough to make a gay joke about me? And Molly was like, you're gay, bro. You're gay. And Miles says, okay. And by looking at you, what did he say? Hold on, I got to get it right. He said, by looking at you, the ish that you do, the fingernails, I feel like we're cut from the same cloth. Okay. There you go again, trying to make what you are a bad thing when it comes to somebody else. So what if his nails are painted? You had a whole boyfriend. It's okay. It's fine. People can do what they want to do. He made a joke about your sexuality. Sit in your sexuality. You got to be able to laugh at yourself. You should have owned it. Yeah, I like balls and cats too, whatever. Anyway, so Molly was like, no, we're not. Don't ever talk to me like that again. And Miles was like, well, if you're comfortable enough to joke with me like that, then I'm feel comfortable enough to make a joke at you. But you're not joking. You're trying to create doubt around this man's sexuality. And it's not okay. It wasn't a joke. It was meant to be hurtful. That's not okay. And the thing that he said about you, he said to his girlfriend who just happened to be drunk and repeated. But we all make little jokes about people with our significant other. Like she was just drunk. I don't know. I'm sorry you had to hear that joke, but it was an inside joke. It wasn't meant to be shared with you or to hurt your feelings because you weren't supposed to hear it. And anybody can sit and act like they don't say things about people that they don't want them to hear, but it's funny. You don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but sometimes it's just funny. Anyway, Molly was like, you know what, from now on, let's just not talk anymore. So Miles walks off. He's like, I don't know how we got here. You know exactly how you got there. You went there. So back in their room, Miles tells Amber that Molly doesn't F with him because he's bisexual. And I'm like, excuse me, sir, that's not what happened. That's not what happened at all. So in Miles's confessional, he was like, I just acknowledged him for who he was. He's a master manipulator. He's homophobic. He just makes me uncomfortable. No, Miles, you're uncomfortable in general. You're uncomfortable around straight men because you are uncomfortable with your sexuality. That is what you need to work on. That is therapy. That is therapy for a different day at a different time. It's not marriage boot camp, but you need to go to therapy so that you can feel comfortable with who you are. It's okay that you're bisexual. That is your prerogative. You can do what you want to do. But those people aren't making you feel uncomfortable. A joke about you liking balls is not making you feel uncomfortable because that same joke could have been said about Amber. She likes the male genitalia as well. So it's hard to watch with as far as the gay movement has come for you not to be able to take that joke and sit in it or even check him about it. Like what was you trying to prove by saying that? You could have sat him down and said that and he could have said, oh, it was just a joke. I didn't mean for you to hear it. I was saying it to treasure. It was supposed to be funny, blah, blah, blah. But no, you automatically assume that he's homophobic. You know what? We'll talk about what that word actually means later on in life. Anyway, Amber is like, don't start a fight. So Molly is outside trying to explain what happened to Nori, who witnessed this entire thing. And I'm just like, he was there. He heard everything you heard. So Miles is upstairs and he's talking about how they're not going to punk him and he will fall out with every man in the house. And I'm like, you going to fall out with him? You ain't going to fight him. He very carefully worded it. He said he will fall out with every man in there. He said nothing about fighting him because he know better. Miles, you're not about that life. Nobody hates you. You're not that important to the people here. They're trying to work on their relationships. Well, most of them. I don't even think Treasure and Molly Mall are in a relationship. And the reason I say that is because I was looking up pictures for this video and I could only find pictures of them together from Marriage Boot Camp. And I think they had one picture together and it looked like a Love and Hip Hop picture or something. It looked very dated. Moni and Tough, I think they do stand a chance. I don't like the age difference, and because she's been through so much that he hasn't been through because he's been with her for such a long time. But I really think that they can make it. He did say that they do have a 14-year-old, and he's wanted to leave so many different times, but he hasn't because of the child. Let me just say this: that's not a good reason to stay. That is never a good reason to stay. The children notice things, and at 14, she's going to watch the show, and she's going to know exactly what you did. And you're going to have to explain to her why she shouldn't take that from a man. Nori and Neri, again, I don't think they really need this kind of therapy. Nori just needs to help take care of his kids. He takes care of the house. And a lot of times, honey, you get that 80-20 rule. You might get a man to pay all your bills, but don't help as much with the kids. Or you might get a man who's a full-time dad, but you got to pay the bills. Like, you're not going to get 100%. I'm sorry. Hate to break the news to you. Amber and Brock, this is going to sound bad, but I think that Brock, or I don't know why I'm calling him Brock now. I think Miles loves Amber. I think they love each other as friends, but I don't think this is a relationship. I don't feel any kind of connection between the two of them as far as they're like two best friends. Like, I don't feel any kind of sexual tension. I don't think she's sexually attracted to him. And I think she wants to be, because as women, we feel like if we put 20 years into something, we need to stick with it, but no. And I think Miles wants to be with a man. I really think he does. And that's okay. I could be wrong, but it is what it is. Who else? Nori, Neri, and Monita. That's everybody. As always, Dr. Ish and Judge Toller are doing a great job. I love these exercises, and I am thinking that I might plan some type of boot camp for married couples, or, relationship camp, a relationship boot camp, and go on a trip and, do some of these activities to resolve some issues with people that we don't know. Anyway, this review or recap is long enough. I will see you guys next week for Marriage Boot Camp, and I am going to drop a few words about Queens because I did actually like the show. All right, that was it. That was all. That was fun. I will see y'all next week.